We had to go to the bank. And they called me and I said, excuse me, I have to step outside. And it was our local hometown bank. Went out on the porch. And that's when our life kind of flipped around. I hit my knees on the porch of that bank and thought, no, this isn't happening.
We were at a softball field probably, I don't know, 3 to 5 days a week.
Pretty much from like March
till June.
July.
Yeah, she started playing softball before she started school. We kind of yelled for her, like, Madison, get that ball. And she didn't react. I think she turned and looked at us.
And when she turned and looked at me, she was like solid white,
yeah,
like a ghost.
So we called the doctor that Monday and he said, pack a bag and get to the hospital as soon as you can. 10 days later, we were with neurology and having MRIs.
It was so fast, but we were in there, we had the date, we went home, we had enough time to pack a bag, and we were back for 6 days. Nothing's gonna prepare you for that. And then the learning curve, then the overwhelming questions and the, what do we do now? How can we go from this child that never ever visits the doctors to now we need to know all the things?
I don't think you ever actually get yourself or your mindset ready for something like that. It definitely takes you over.
Why us? Why the sweet little girl? And then after that, I mean, you had to take action. You had to do what was best for her.
So during a family's journey, very rarely do they go through the whole journey without meeting another family, making a connection.
There was a position in graduate studies that I really wanted, and it just so happened that she was in that office and right next door to me, like literally one door away.
When she got there and introduced herself and told me everything about her and Madison and what they were going through, you're like, oh, that's, oh my gosh, that's horrible. It wasn't a couple weeks later that we got the news about Andy.
I went in to her office and we cried together. It brought back everything from the beginning of our journey. All of the feelings of we don't really know what to do or what's going to happen or where we go from here.
Even our coworkers were just kind of dumbfounded, like, wow, okay. And her office door, I might add, is one door down from mine. We know what each other is going through.
It was nice to be able to help, and she does the same thing for me. If I'm having a really bad day, I'm able to go in and she talks me down a little bit.
I think Andy's very first day of chemotherapy was Madison's celebratory day of being done with her treatment, and we got to meet all in the clinic together. Madison came right on in and talked to Andy like it was nothing. There's a little age gap there, and she took Andy under her wing from the beginning, and Andy just thinks she's the greatest thing. You have that fear that your child doesn't fully understand kind of what's happening. So you see the other children there, and you see how treatment can affect you and what you might look like and how people might act, and you see the kids kind of bond together. And kids are so resilient, and kids are fantastic, and seeing the world through their eyes is kind of what I would see when they would interact and play and make things together. And at first, when you're kind of closed off and you don't know what to expect, and you start meeting the parents of the other families, and you're getting to know other stories you didn't know about, other medical terms, other medical processes, other things that other people are going through, and then you relate so much better, because you're like, okay, cancer doesn't discriminate. It's old, it's young, it's this family, it's that family. And the people we've met along the way because of Ask, I think it made us feel more comfortable from the very beginning, let alone Andy, who's meeting people that are going through the same thing and seeing that on a weekly basis.
In December of this past year, we had over 10 within a matter of like 3 weeks.
It's probably 5 or 6 families now with kids around here that...
In this one area.
Yeah.
And you never think it's gonna happen to your child. It's naive, but we can say that. You never think that's gonna happen.
And I think the conversation is sort of one that you don't want to have, so people don't talk about it. And I was one of those people before it happened to us. it was uncomfortable because it's so heartbreaking. I think there's just something wrong about a child having cancer and struggling and going through all of it.
And then going to clinic every week and seeing new people come in every week, not just your same group.
I had no idea that it was so common until we were in the clinic and there were so many other kids. We had to completely change our lifestyle. Madison couldn't have friends over or go anywhere. She couldn't go to school. You know, we had to watch the fever. She had 100.4 fever. We had to get her to the hospital. Lucas, we had to worry about him going to school and then bringing something home, and it wasn't fun.
To be as young as he is, to actually recognize, that something was wrong with his sister, and we needed to be there with her, and he was extremely strong throughout the whole process.
There were some days when she would spike a fever in the middle of the day, and off to the hospital we went while Lucas was at school, and he had no clue other than he came home and his entire family was gone. We were in the hospital and we didn't know when we were coming home.
Ever since Ask was created, we've had parents on our board. We have people who have walked in the shoes of families who get it, who know it. Yes, we know the medical is being taken care of because we have great doctors, nurses, but we look at the rest of it. I mean, Ask has looked at everything other than the medical that could affect a family's social, emotional, educational.
Coming from Farmville and not having the resources at the hospital here and knowing that this is going to be a multiple times a week, possibly indefinitely kind of thing, little things like that made it comforting.
Just different little tokens, I guess, try to make the whole process a little bit, the transition easier, take a little bit of the financial burden off of you.
To be able to hand a family who thought they were coming in clinics to get counts and we're going to go home and go to lunch or something and realize, oh, my child has to get blood now, we're here all day. To be able to hand them meal tickets, to be able to go to get something to eat and they don't have to pull their wallet out.
What I think about is just how devastating it must be and disruptive for families when they receive that diagnosis. My whole job is just to try to make that moment easier for families, and I believe the essence of heart work is what we do here. Heart work is often behind the scenes. It's not something that's flashy and splashy, but it makes that moment easier for that family.
When we lost Peyton, she reached out and I said, I don't think Madison is grieving right. Not that she's not grieving right, but I think that it's been really hard on her. I don't know what to do. And she had Mary Jo. She said, let me get you in contact with Mary Jo. And she said, I'm gonna send you guys a gift card to do something for Peyton. Do whatever you wanna do. Madison cried her heart out when she got that.
And they weren't, pushy, they weren't overwhelming about it, which is something that you're feeling from day one when all of that's thrown at you.
But there's never been a time that I've emailed Katie or emailed Mary Jo and needed something and they haven't been right back in touch with me. Just to have those resources in place, even, we're post-treatment now. We go every 3 months, but I'm still comfortable calling if I need whatever I need. They're there to answer the questions or send me what I need.
Ask does a great job of trying to support the entire family throughout the journey, not only from the diagnosis, but all the way through.
From when I started almost 14 years ago to what we're doing now, it's incredible.
We love Katie.
You're not going to leave there, I don't care what kind of day you've had, you're not going to leave there without having some kind of smile from Katie.
I struggled with something very, very personal, and I struggled really bad with it for a really long time, and being able to go in and Katie ask about, how things were going and what can we do to help, or just being able to just talk about it. I don't know if we could have done it without them.
They definitely pretty much make you feel like you're the only one there, and that makes you feel special. And try not to make it as scary as what it really is.
Once you are an Ask family, it doesn't matter where your journey goes, you're always a part of Ask.